He's joining us for the second time. And so for our listeners or our attendees who have not heard from Prabhuji the last time he was here, I would like to read a brief introduction to make you all just aware of who Prabhuji is and his qualifications. Born in the idyllic Fiji Islands, graduated as attorney and financial accountant 47 years ago at Auckland University, New Zealand. Served as advisor in the government of Fiji, participated in the leadership of various civic organizations such as the Fiji Manufacturers Council, Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Consumer Council. Married with 2 sons who are also married, 5 grandchildren, served as spiritual guide since 1983, moved to Dallas, Texas in 1993, teaches, trains, and coaches talented persons, professionals, business owners, corporate executives, and institutional leaders in leadership, spirituality, consciousness development, life strategies, and wellness. Coaches, trainers who train teachers in the fields of wellness, life strategies, and business. Once again, I would like to welcome you, Prabhuji, on behalf of Partsarthi Foundation, and we are very, very grateful to you for accepting our invitation and spending your evening with us, Prabhuji. Prabhuji will be enlightening us today on 6th chapter Dhyana Yoga from verses 28 to 36. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet.
Thank you very much. Accept my obeisances, the lotus feet of all of you. Vancha kalpa trubhischa kripasindhu vyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So we'll start as we typically do for all Bhagavad Gita talks. We'll start with the 3 times repeating Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpa Turubhischa Kripasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhya Vaishnavebhya Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shinyavari Paschata Deshtarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasa Adi Gaura Bhakta Binda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita Yatharupa Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Today we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, which is entitled Dhyana Yoga. This is the last of the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. After this comes the middle 6 chapters, which are the chapters that deal with Bhakti Yoga. And finally will come the final 6 chapters that will deal with Jnana Yoga. So this is the conclusion of Karma Yoga, the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. And these are some of the final verses that are being spoken in that chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, starting with verse number 26. So I'll just read verse number 26 3 times, as we normally do, then read the translation, and then has a very short purport, so we'll read the purport. And then I'll just read the verses for the other ones until verse number 36. And then we'll start speaking about it. So verse number 28, chapter 6. Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaha Sukhena Brahma Sangsparsham Atyantam Sukham Ashnate Yunjan Eva Sadatmanam Yogi Vigata Kalmashaha Sukhena Brahma Sangsparsham Atyantam Sukham Ashnate Yunjan Eva Sadatmanam Yogi Vigata Kalmashaha Sukhena Brahma Sangsparsham Atyantam Sukham Ashnate. Translation. Thus, the self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Self-realization means knowing one's constitutional position in relationship to the Supreme. The individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme, and his position is to render transcendental service to the Lord. This transcendental contact with the Supreme is called Brahma Samsparsha. And now reading the other verses, starting from text number 27, just reading the English translations. First one that we just read was 28. Thus, the self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. Text 29. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the Supreme Lord, everywhere. Text 30. One who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. This is a very, very famous verse. Then number 31. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the Supersoul, knowing that I and the Supersoul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. Text 32. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. Text 33. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. Text 34. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Text 35. Lord Sri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. Text 36. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. So this is the final verse in today's set of verses that we will be speaking from. So in this chapter, Krishna is explaining what yoga is. Before I start, let me offer my obeisances to my spiritual master. Namo Om Vishnuvadaya Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale Srimate Tamal Krishna Goswami Nityanamane. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasti Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita Tharup Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Sri Gurudeva Ki Jai. So again, in chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, Krishna is explaining what yoga is. And he explains that yoga means linking oneself to the Supreme. And renunciation, which means giving up all the other things that is not part of this linking process, is the same as yoga. And then he comes to a very interesting part, which is what is being referred to here in these verses, but spoken in the earlier verses. He speaks about how the mind control is yoga, because the mind is in the mode of goodness. If you control yourself in the mode of goodness, that means you can control yourself in the mode of passion and ignorance as well, because goodness is a higher state of consciousness, being in the mode of goodness. When the mind is controlled, it is the best friend, and uncontrolled is the worst enemy. So the yogi's vision is equipoise, for example, between pebbles, stones, and gold, between honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral, the mediators, the envious, friends and enemies, pious and sinners. Everyone is seen with an equal mind. So to attain that mind control, Krishna suggests a Ashtanga yoga practice of meditation in a secluded place, sitting on kusha grass, deerskin, doing postures, etc. As a yogi, one should not eat more or less, sleep more or less, etc. Thus, a yogi controls the mind, body, and activities. The yogi will bring the wandering mind, keeping it fixed. And this way, his mind is completely restrained from material contamination. He understands the qualitative oneness with the Lord. And then the mind is fixed on the Lord. And that's when he attains transcendental loving service to the Lord. So here, Arjuna is saying, this yoga practice appears impractical for him. It is more difficult to control the mind than to control the wind. Krishna answers that by saying that by constant practice and detachment, it is possible to control the mind. For such a controlled mind, the success will be assured. When you control the mind, when you thus control the mind, then your success is assured, and the controlled mind will also be assured that you'll be assured that you will be able to control the mind like that. So again, going back to these verses, even though Arjuna is saying that this practice seems impractical and unendurable, by saying to discipline the mind is more difficult than controlling the wind, Krishna is reasserting something here very important. And that is that disciplining the mind is essential, and that it is possible through appropriate practice and detachment. So what is this appropriate practice and detachment that Krishna is talking about? So he's giving clues. On all of these verses, he gives clues. For example, in verse 28, he says, text number 28, he says that the self-controlled yogi constantly engages in yoga practice. So for us, our yoga practice is actually chanting the holy names of the Lord. So for us, Harinam Sankirtan is our yoga practice. And if we do that, we will become free from all material contamination and achieve the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. So Krishna is leaving a clue like this. This is why earlier on in chapter 4, we could see that he told us that everyone needs a bona fide spiritual master, because the spiritual master has seen the truth. And if we serve the spiritual master with love and affection by inquiring submissively and serving the spiritual master nicely, then that spiritual master can reveal the truth. So here in the purports, Srila Prabhupada is revealing the truth as the spiritual master of the movement, of the ISKCON movement, like that. And all our spiritual masters who are serving at his lotus feet do the same thing. And then he says that for that, as devotees, we have to see that Krishna is in all beings, not just human beings. He's in animals, he's in trees, he's in the plants, he's in the aquatics, he's in the Indragopa, the germs that are flying around. That in every living entity, actually, Krishna is present. Because without Krishna's presence, there can be no super soul presence. And he also says that later on in one of the verses. And without the super soul, the soul cannot exist. The soul only exists because there is a super soul. Because it is the super soul that is empowering and energizing the soul. So when the soul ignores that super soul, that is when all the problems started. We heard that earlier in one of the chapter 5 verses that we spoke about earlier. So here we have to see that everyone and everything is actually connected to Krishna like that. And so then, since we see the Lord in everywhere and everything, he says, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So this is actually the formula that he's giving us now, that we should always be Krishna conscious. We should always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. No matter what happens, we should always see Krishna's hand in everything. We will see Krishna's participation in anything and everything that is happening. We should see Krishna's hand. And if we become such a devotee who engages in the worshipful service of the super soul, knowing that Krishna and the super soul are the same, that person will remain always with Krishna in all circumstances. We will never be separated from Krishna in all circumstances. And for us, Guru is actually the representative of Krishna. The devotees are also representatives of Krishna. So we'll never be separated from Krishna and his devotees. And then in the next text talks about the perfect yogi, because the perfect yogi, by seeing his own situation or her own situation, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and distress. Why? Because just as we are feeling some happiness and some distress in our lives, so is everybody else. Really, there is no difference. Everybody is in some state of happiness or distress based on their interaction with the material modes of nature. And if they start considering that the purpose is actually to have a connection with Krishna and not with the material modes, then one becomes situated in transcendental life. Then one becomes truly happy. So there he says, therefore he says, that when they see this true equality of beings in both their happiness and distress, then what you have described, he says to Arjuna, as impractical and undurable, he says, because that's what Arjuna says, because the mind is so restless. He says that it's easier to control the wind than to control the mind. Krishna is actually disagreeing with that. And his disagreement is, he says, yes, it is undoubtedly difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and detachment. And that suitable practice and detachment is what Krishna is going to speak about in chapters 7 through 12, which is about Bhakti Yoga. He's going to introduce Bhakti Yoga in a way that actually becomes the central purpose of our life, that we always engage in the loving devotional service of Krishna, joyfully, tolerating all kinds of impediments. That's the middle 7 chapters, middle 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, starting from chapter 7. Otherwise, our mind will be unbridled. Why it will be unbridled? Because the mind is meant to be bridled to the soul, which is bridled to the super soul, which is non-different from Krishna. So this is the bridling process. If the mind is not bridled to the soul and instead bridled to the intelligence and bridled to the false ego, now you have problems. Because these are not the person. These are tools given to the person for service of Krishna. You see? It's a little like, say, for example, I'm working for, the temple, right? In my case, I am the temple president, so I'm working for the temple. And the temple gives me something to use in the service of the temple, right? Let's say the temple gives me a position and says, okay, you are now the temple president. Please use that service to serve the deities and the devotees. And instead, what I do is, I consider the temple presidency more important than the temple and the deities and the devotees. And therefore, I promote my temple presidency in a way that is not promoting the temple, that is not promoting Krishna, that is not promoting the deities and the devotees. You can see why there will be problems now, right? People will be unhappy, the deities will be unhappy, the devotees will be unhappy, and ultimately I will also be unhappy, because if you have unhappy people around you, you're not going to be a happy person. You see what I'm saying? So Krishna has given us a body, a beautiful mind, beautiful intelligence, a great ego. You know, he's given us all these. Why? To serve him. To serve him. And how? By cooperating with the soul. These should cooperate with the soul, because the soul is an eternal servant of Krishna. Jivera Swarupa hoy nityara Krishna das. So we are eternally servants of Krishna. We are eternally beloveds of Krishna. Suhridam sarva bhutanam, Krishna says. We are eternally beloveds of Krishna. Aham bij pradapitayam, the seed-giving power of all living beings. We are eternally children of Krishna. Mame vangsha jiva loka jiva bhuta sanatana. We are always part and parcel of Krishna. This is the soul. This is the position of the soul. As Prabhupada says in the purport, the soul's purpose is actually to engage in transcendental loving service of Krishna. In engaging in this transcendental loving service of Krishna, all other purposes will be automatically achieved. Just like in Hindi, there is a saying, ek tir, hazar nazare. Means you fire one arrow, but you hit 1,000 targets. You see? So in the same way, if we focus on cooperating with the soul so that the soul can engage all the time in transcendental loving service, then all our other purposes that are the purposes of the body, the purposes of the mind, the purposes of the intelligence, the purposes of the false ego, the purposes of the consciousness, the purposes of the real ego, all of these will be fulfilled. This is how powerful the soul is. Therefore, in chapter 2, Krishna says that the soul is amazing. Now, think about it, right? When somebody says that something is amazing, the first thing you will think in your mind is, who is the person who is speaking? See, if a beggar on the street, you know, sometimes you drive on the road and you see a beggar, he's got a sign and will work for a burger or something like that. He'll write something like that, right? And people throw him some coins and he becomes very happy receiving those coins, right? So if he says, looking into his begging bowl, he looks and he says, wow, that's amazing. What do you think he is talking about that he considers to be amazing? What do you think? Can you unmute yourself and give any answer?
Generosity.
Well, he won't see generosity in his begging bowl. He will see something in his begging bowl that he thought was very amazing.
Coins.
Coins are not so amazing because he always gets coins, right?
His soul got satisfied.
Soul got satisfied, it's true, but that's not what he thinks is amazing. He doesn't go there to satisfy his soul. There's something he sees in that.
How about love?
Sorry? Love.
Love.
You can see love in a bowl. That's going to be, you're going
Mercy.
to be very this person. Sorry?
Mercy.
Mercy, it's very hard. What he sees is he sees a $10 bill in his bowl. You see, he's always been eating coins, which is like pennies and, nickels and dimes. That's what he's getting from people, right? And then somebody threw a $10 bill into his bowl. Actually, stop one day. Just one day, stop on that corner and go and stand next to that beggar and talk to him. He'll tell you this. that sometimes I'm totally amazed. Somebody gives me a $10 bill. That's amazing. Okay, now if someone gave Elon Musk a $10 bill, what do you think Elon Musk will say? He'll say thank you. Okay, I'm not asking you to say that. But do you think he'll be amazed with $10?
No.
No.
Oh, not at
No.
all.
Not at all. He will think it's like an insult, right?
Yes.
Not a beggar. Don't give me $10. Buy one of my Teslas, that's a different story, which is still begging, by the way, because you're begging somebody to buy your Tesla, right? The beggar is begging somebody to give him some money. The other one is also begging for money, except the quantity is bigger, right? He wants bigger amount of money than less money, that's all. But he's still a beggar. So when Krishna says something is amazing, what do you think that means? You see what I'm saying? So when Krishna says that the soul is amazing, it means there's nothing in this world that can compare to the soul. In fact, in the 64 qualities of Krishna, in which the last 4 qualities separate him from Narayan. Narayan is the supreme personality of Godhead, okay? This is not some ordinary personality. He is the supreme personality. There are some sampradayas in this world that worship Narayan as the supreme personality of Godhead. They don't consider Krishna to be supreme personality. They consider Narayan to be supreme personality. That's how powerful Lord Narayan is. But Krishna has 4 qualities that Lord Narayan does not have. And one of them is that his devotee is unparalleled. You cannot compare Krishna's devotee to anybody. That's how great Krishna's devotee is. And Krishna says, Jivera Swarupa Hoye Nityara Krishna Das. See, why somebody calls me Nityananda Das? Because they think I am devotee of Krishna, right? That's why you get the name so-and-so Das. Like Harilila Prabhu has got his name on the thing is Harilila Das. Anuradha has got Anuradha Devi Dasi. Why? That means we're devotee, right? Devotee is given that type of name. So if you're given the name Krishna Das, obviously you're meant to be devotee, right? You're meant to be devotee of Krishna. And he's saying that to every living entity, by the way. Every entity is my devotee. Every living entity is my Das. Every living entity is so great that you can separate that person from the greatness of Lord Narayan. I mean, this is hard to imagine. That's Krishna is saying that the soul is amazing. And yet what we do is, we do things without cooperating with the soul. We do things that have nothing to do with transcendental loving service of Sri Krishna, of Guru and Krishna. This is the problem. And this is why in Dhyana Yoga, chapter 6, before Krishna is going to introduce bhakti to Arjuna, so that Arjuna can solve his problem. What is his problem? Millions of people are going to die, right? He hasn't got a small problem. We have small problems. Our problems are very small. Tooth is aching, money is missing, somebody is insulting me, this is happening, that is happening, my children are having a problem, somebody is not studying properly, this, that, and the other. Arjuna's problem was not one of those small problems. Arjuna's problem was his whole family was going to get annihilated. Millions of people were going to die on the battlefield. Millions of women were going to become widows. Millions of children were going to become fatherless. That's a big problem. And that is the problem that Krishna was addressing. And he's going to teach him Bhakti Yoga as the topmost process of solving the problem. So that in the end, what happens? Arjuna comes out victorious. He and his brothers rule the kingdom. The family is completely intact, except for one son who died very, very wrongly. One grandson who died very, very wrongly. And then, of course, the other children also of Arjuna after that. But other than that, very small price was paid compared to what would have been paid had Krishna not advised Arjuna, had Arjuna not listened to Krishna. So Krishna is leading him up and telling him, okay, you like to do the right thing, then you'll have to do Astanga Yoga. And Arjuna says, thank you very much. That's going to be very difficult for me. But Krishna is saying, no, it is possible. And how is it possible? By doing, he says, appropriate means, by some appropriate means, he says, 36. One who strives by appropriate means. So what is the appropriate means for us? It is Golokara Premadhana, Harinam Sankirtan. This is our appropriate means. The process given to us by the Acharyas, which is what ISKCON is following, is the appropriate means. And if we follow these appropriate means, if we chant Hare Krishna, and if we serve the devotees and the deities, and if we are compassionate to other living entities by preaching process, if we read these books of Krishna, about books that Prabhupada left us and other acharyas and our spiritual masters were writing, if we actually eat only Krishna Prasadam, right? So these are processes, associating with devotees, sadhu sangha, reading the books, doing transcendental reading and transcendental book distribution, by chanting the holy names of the Lord, doing kirtan and sankirtan, by serving the deities, dancing in front of the deities, having a devotional diet, being disciplined and having devotion like that, and by encouraging others, enthusing others, empowering others through this process. By these methods, the appropriate means will be assured and our success will be assured. This is what Krishna is explaining in these verses up till now. I'm going to stop here and ask if any of you have any things you'd like to say, any realizations, please share. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. You have very nicely explained this Gita's verse today. We are very thankful to you. So, Prabhuji, if you have some time, we will take some questions and comments from the devotees.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Mataji, go ahead. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Ritu Mataji, can you unmute?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam to everybody. Prabhuji, I have a question. We talk about soul all the time, and we also say that soul is within us. But I always get confused because Thakurji also says that soul is beautiful and soul is everything, because the soul is running your body, your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, everything is controlled by soul. How can I recognize that soul, to day-to-day life? Like, how can I be thankful to that soul and talk to that soul? Because I always forget that I am not a body, I am a soul. So I don't know how to practice that. I understand chanting will give us path to meet Bhagwan, but I don't know how to meet myself.
Yes. So actually, you say that the body, the mind, these thoughts, the emotions are controlled by the soul. If they are controlled by the soul, you will not have any problems. The problem is they're not controlled by the soul. They've gone out of control. That is the difficulty. And so basically, when anybody says anything, we have to ask, who is talking? Is the body talking? Is the mind talking? Is the intelligence talking? Is the false ego talking? Is the consciousness talking? Is the real ego talking? Or is the soul talking? Now here, the soul is the seventh on that list. So question is, who is asking this question? If the question is being asked by the soul, then the question the soul has is only one. Where is Krishna? I just want to love Krishna more and more. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Prabhupada says that the only question the soul has. The soul doesn't have any other questions. Once the soul sees Krishna, the soul is satisfied and is completely engaged in Krishna's service. And the soul doesn't care whether the body is interested or not, whether the mind is interested or not, whether the intelligence is interested or not, whether the false ego is interested or not, whether the consciousness is interested or not. Of course, the real ego will always be interested. So the real ego is like the partner of the soul because it is the real identity. And so the real identity and the soul, these two partner and serve Krishna. So how do you feel this soul? How do you feel like, okay, I can feel my soul? Okay, when we say that I can feel my soul, who is the I? If the I is the body, The body is going to find it very difficult to feel the soul unless the body is fully Krishna conscious. If this is the mind will have the same problem. If it is the intelligence will have the same problem. If it is the false ego, that guy doesn't want to have anything to do with with the real ego and the mind, with the real ego and the soul. And if it is the consciousness, then it depends. Consciousness is flipping back and forth, right? And real ego, like I said, is already companion to the soul. So really, when we say, I am not feeling the soul, it is the body that's not feeling it. It is the mind that's not feeling it. It is the intelligence that's not feeling it. And it is the false ego not feeling it. And also the consciousness not feeling it, because these guys are associating with the material modes. That's what we discussed in chapter 5. So because we are associating with the material modes, and we think that association is most important, then the soul is asleep. The soul is dormant. The soul is sleeping. And since the soul is sleeping, you're not going to feel the soul, right? Just like when you are sleeping, you don't feel yourself, do you? You only feel yourself when you're awake and you touch your body and you say, oh, I can feel my body now. You see what I'm saying? When you're sleeping, you don't feel your body. Because, you're ignorant of everything at that time. It's only the mind that is operating, but the other things are generally in a state of ignorance at that time. That is why sleep is ignorance, according to Krishna consciousness, a state of ignorance. That's why we should stay awake as long as we can and sleep as little as possible, as much as necessary, no more than that. That's the idea behind it. So really, to feel the soul, the best process to feel the soul is to experience the happiness of Krishna consciousness. See, when you're eating prasadam and you're feeling happy eating prasadam, when you're chanting Hare Krishna and you're feeling happy chanting, now most of the time we don't feel happy chanting. I accept that. Most of the time we are chanting because we want to get our 16 rounds done. You see? Because then I can do what I really want to do in my life. Like Prabhupada said one day when he finished chanting 16 rounds, he put the beads down and says, now I can do any damn thing I like. I finished my rounds. He was saying that to teach us, this is our attitude, that we are chanting not because we love Krishna and because we're speaking to Krishna and we're experiencing that loving exchange when we are chanting. That's not why we're chanting. We're chanting because we were told you have to chant 16 rounds. Now you took initiation, right? You have to follow the 4 Elite Principles. Now you took initiation, right? But this is not love. This is not, you're not going to feel Krishna consciousness by chanting 5 million lifetimes Hare Krishna. You're not going to feel any Krishna consciousness. Why? Because you're not interested in Krishna consciousness. You're not. Krishna is not going to let you touch him unless you're really interested in him. So first things first, let us do those things that actually give us bliss in Krishna consciousness. So what gives us bliss? Definitely prasadam gives us bliss, right? Most people are very happy eating prasadam, okay? Another thing that gives bliss is association. Sometimes you meet some really nice people, right? Some nice devotees. Not all devotees are going to be nice to you, but some of them will be nice to you, right? And when you meet some devotee who's nice to you, you feel good. You feel happy. So do that. Associate with people who make you feel happy. Another is kirtan. Sometimes you do kirtan, you feel happy. You start dancing, right, in kirtan. Why? Because you're happy. If you're not happy, you'd not dance in kirtan, right? You're dancing because you're happy. So generally chanting, feasting, dancing, these things are meant to give us happiness. That's why this is the process of the age for us. So when you are feeling that happiness, Maharaji, you are feeling the soul. You are feeling the soul at that time. So now try to notice any time you are happy when you're doing something Krishna consciousness, something Krishna conscious. And when it does it, record that in your mind. Record it. Make it a print in your mind. That made me happy. And tell yourself, I just felt my soul and Krishna. These two are inseparable, by the way. The soul and super soul are inseparable, okay? Did you know the soul cannot separate from the super soul? It can try. It will never be able to do it. The super soul will always go with the soul. Wherever the soul goes into pig's body, the super soul will also go into the pig's body. You see, the soul decides, I'm going to commit suicide and becomes a ghost. The super soul also goes into the ghost body. This is how much Krishna loves us. He will always stay with us, no matter what our situation. So whenever you feel happiness in Krishna consciousness, now you can also feel happiness in material consciousness too, by the way. So I'm not recommending the happiness of material consciousness here. I'm talking about happiness in spiritual consciousness. When you're doing some Krishna conscious activity, if you feel any happiness, if you go to the temple and you look at the deities and say, wow, the deities are so beautiful. Tell yourself, I'm just noticing that I'm becoming happy. And tell yourself, I am at this time feeling Krishna and I'm feeling my soul. I'm feeling my soul and super soul. I'm feeling them both. I'm feeling Krishna and me. Now what will happen is, you will try to do more of that, right? Because you're a nice devotee. You want to always feel Krishna, right? So you're going to say to yourself, let me do more things that'll make me happy, more things that'll make me happy. And as you do that, your consciousness will shift from material consciousness to spiritual consciousness. And you'll give up material activities because you'll know there is nothing there to taste. It is the chewing the chewed, right? Who chews the chewed? You know, it's imagine like sugar cane, somebody chewed some sugar cane, then they spit out the part, there was no sugar left. You don't pick that up in the ground, put it in your mouth and say, I want to chew it too, so I can chase some sugar here. Maybe if the other person didn't finish their chewing, you might have some taste of sugar, but really that's not the way to taste sugarcane. The way to taste sugarcane is to get a sugarcane and then peel it with your mouth or get it peeled or whatever, and then put it in your mouth and chew it and feel the sweet taste of sugar. You see? So this is our process. So if you do that, then you will notice your soul and your super soul. And as you do that, Krishna says, Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I will give you the intelligence by which you will always experience me. You'll always feel my presence. And who will feel that presence? The soul will feel the presence. So obviously, the soul is feeling the presence, then you're feeling the soul, right? It's just like right now, say, for example, you got a pen in your hand and you're writing something, then you're feeling the pen. You're feeling the pen because you're using the pen. It's in utility. Utility is the principle. So if you utilize the soul to please Krishna, then you'll feel the soul. Just like I'm writing with the pen, I can feel the pen. So if the soul is serving Krishna, you'll feel the soul. When the soul is not serving Krishna, then you're not going to feel the soul. And then we can't complain why I'm not feeling the soul. If I'm not writing, I can't say why I'm not feeling the pen. I'm not writing, so I'm not feeling the pen. It's not the pen's fault. It's not my fault. It's just the connection is not there, right? So connect. That's called yoga. Yoga means to connect. So if we do that, you will feel the soul. Then you will not feel like, I'm not feeling the soul. So notice that from now and keep pushing this idea. Just keep pushing this idea. Now, another thing that I say actually really helps, because I've noticed this amongst people, and it's actually true. People like to talk. People do not like so much to listen. People like to talk. Please talk to Krishna. Talk. Since you like to talk, instead of picking up the phone and spending so much time talking on the phone, or if you want to, hold the phone in your hand, but talk to Krishna. Just keep talking to Krishna. You will notice, I did this. And sometimes somebody said this to me and I thought, wow, that's a joke. You know what I mean? Talk to Krishna. How can I talk to Krishna? I don't even know who Krishna is. How can I talk to someone I don't know? Although I was a devotee, but even as devotees, truth be told, do we really know Krishna? Have we seen Krishna? Have you held his hand? Have you spoken to him? Has he hugged you? Has he kissed you? Has he whatever? That you can say, oh, I was with Krishna? Hardly, right? Never, right? So how you talk to Krishna? But the beauty is, Krishna is always with us. He says that, I'm never lost to my devotee. So talk. And as you talk, because you like to talk, and what do you want to talk about? Talk about what you like to talk about. See? Like a lot of people like to watch Hindi movies. So talk to Krishna about Hindi movies. Oh, Shah Rukh Khan was like this, and the Aishwarya Bachchan was like that, and this in this movie, this happened. And talk to Krishna. Tell him that. Krishna was really great. You should see that movie, Krishna. You should watch that movie. It was a great movie. This person did this, that person did that, and you talk to Krishna. You will be surprised what will happen. You will be surprised. You will notice yourself chanting better now when you start chanting. You will notice that the prasadam will taste better when you eat prasadam. You will notice that when you meet devotees, they will look more beautiful to you, and it will feel like they love you more than you thought they loved you. Amazing. All because you spoke about your favorite topic to Krishna. Krishna loves different type of favorite topics. He is not a one-trick pony. Krishna is a variegated person. He loves all types of variety. Do you know Lord Chaitanya used to dance to Hindi film music? Why? Because he always thought of Radha and Krishna as, beloveds, right? And so if there's a song that's about beloved, right? Hindi song about beloved, he used to use that song to think about Radha and Krishna. What's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with that. That's great. If you think of everything as connected to Krishna and you only see Krishna everywhere in everything, that's exactly what this verse is talking about. Please do that. So connect yourself to Krishna like that and just choose your favorites. Whatever your favorite food, your favorite music, your favorite dance, your favorite clothes, your favorite jewelry. I mean, come on. We all have so many favorites, right? Choose your favorite according to your nature. It doesn't matter what you choose. I don't care what you choose as your favorite. And then connect it to Krishna and talk to Krishna about it and say, what do you think, Krishna? Do you think this diamond ring looks nice? Do you think I have enough diamonds on my ring? Do you think I should have put a topaz in the middle? Which is the gem that would have helped me? And did I have the hole at the bottom so that the light will go through and affect my body and then I can become a rich person? Talk to Krishna. You will be amazed what will happen.
So beautiful.
Thank you. That's a wonderful question you asked. All of us should ask this question. And everybody should be thinking, do I feel Krishna every moment in my life? Because the moment you don't feel Krishna, that's your problem. That's where all the problems start. That's the mother and father of all problems. All the babies will turn up. This problem, that problem, this problem, that problem. All the babies got born because the mother and father are not thinking Krishna. They're thinking something else.
So beautiful, Prabhuji.
Us, we should always be thinking Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That's a brilliant question.
Seriously, when you were talking, I felt soul within me, and I felt that another soul is talking to me because I really felt in peace. I felt Krishna. I felt that's something coming from Krishna,
Nice.
and I really felt that. And whatever you mentioned about meeting the Vaishnavas and eating prasada, doing Sankirtan, seriously, Prabhuji, it will feel blissful. You feel blessed when you go to the temple.
Yes.
And when you meet everybody and talk to them, because you'd seriously feel they are so beautiful, because I see Krishna in them, because they are so peaceful. Their faces are so happy. And then also, when you are talking about talking to Krishna, I feel that because now, since I got into Krishna consciousness, I don't call my parents anymore for past 3 or 4 years. Before that, I used to call them for every little thing and talk to them about my problems and ask for
I think
guidance.
you should continue doing that. You should continue talking to
No,
your parents.
now I talk to Krishna because I consider Krishna and Radha as my parents. They
Yeah,
are
no,
my
but
parents.
but talk to your parents like you're talking to Krishna also. Talk to them and think to yourself that you're talking to Krishna through your parents, right?
Yeah, I actually,
If they feel your love, by the way, they will also become nice devotees, right? Because they'll think, oh, my daughter is so nice. We have to also become Krishna conscious now.
Exactly. So I talk to them about Krishna, but not about my personal life anymore. And I feel that, that Krishna and Shriji, I'm giving them all because they need to listen to me, because they are the problem solvers, not my parents.
I like that. They need to
So,
listen to you. You're telling them, you have to listen to me. Sit down here and listen to me, okay?
Yeah,
I know you want to be in the Rasa Leela and you want to do this and that, but I'm sorry. This is now quality time with me. Please
Yeah.
sit and let's talk. Wow, Krishna will enjoy that. He'll think, whoa, do you know Radharani what that devotee said? The devotee said, don't worry about Ras Leela. Don't worry about this, that, and the other. I should stop everything in this world and I should go and sit in front of her and talk to her. That's
Yeah,
pretty
I
good.
fight with them. I argue with
Good.
Krishna and Bhagavan because I said you need to listen because something is not right and you're not
Yeah,
doing anything for me. So, but thank you so much. Prabhuji. I'm going to listen to all everything you explained just now. It's just so beautiful, and thank you so much.
Thank you. No, thank you
And
very
I
much.
am really blessful to meet another beautiful soul today. Thank you so much.
Actually, we're all so lucky we came to Krishna consciousness. This is our great gift of all fortune. Somehow we stumbled across Krishna consciousness, and now we're learning things inside Krishna consciousness that can only be described as miraculous and magical. And no amount of money can replace these things that we are learning, right? And we all wanted to become rich and famous. Who doesn't want to become rich and famous? You know what I'm saying? And then we found out this is the greatest wealth. This is the greatest fame, that you become famous with Krishna. If you're famous with Krishna, that's real fame, right? If you're famous with some useless person, what is the fame? That's not fame. You're wasting your time. You know what I mean? That person doesn't matter to anybody. Of course, it does matter to Krishna. But if you become famous with Krishna, then that is the greatest fame.
Yeah, definitely there's a magnetic attraction,
Yes.
which actually keeps you bonded with him.
That's
Like my
it.
whole
It's
family
natural.
my whole family right now, my kids and everybody has gone outside to have some ice cream and for a good, for a walk. I said, I'm not. I will miss my section. I'm going to just stay because this is my love. Like this is what I
Nice,
want.
nice.
So
But
this is
when it comes to ice cream, when you're eating ice cream and you feel good, you like the taste. Wow, this is really nice ice cream. Just think to yourself, that taste that you love is Krishna and the soul coming together.
yeah.
Associate everything happy with Krishna and the soul together. Then what will happen is Krishna will give you more of that because he knows he wants to be with you too. Just like you want to be with him, he wants to be with you. You are his most greatest beloved, just like he is your most greatest beloved and mine and everybody else's. Every one of us has our own Krishna that only wants to associate with each and every one of us 100% of the time. You believe that? That's so great. So he's looking forward. So every time you get mad at him, that's better than ignoring him, right? Ignoring him, he doesn't like. But you get mad, at least you're thinking about him, right? Oh, my devotee is thinking about me. That's great. And Krishna is not going to get worried about somebody getting mad at him, right? He's a very secure person. When your baby gets mad at you, right? When you have a baby, and the baby gets mad, the mother doesn't get all insecure about it. The mother loves it. Oh, baby is mad. I will give the baby more love, and then the baby will become happy. So Krishna thinks, oh, my devotee is getting very angry with me, so I'm going to show my devotee more love and make my devotee happy again. How great is that? Right? Oh, where do you get philosophy like this? This is the best philosophy in creation, man.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Then
Hey, Mika has got her hand up. Her hand up. Mika.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the class, Prabhuji, and the explanation on the 10 verses.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, I have one question. So my question is that, like in NOY, I read in the class, like I listened that we have like 3 types of devotees, like the Kanishadikari, Madhyamadikari, and Uttamadikari. So my question is that right now, like I'm on a stage which is below Kanishadikari because they're like chanting the holy name and like they're initiated and like they're like I'm like on a very lower platform than that. But Prabhuji, like how should we like for me, I'm like stuck on a few rounds, not able to go more, or sometimes it just goes less. So Prabhuji, can you tell a way that we can improve it and like go up in the number?
Yes, that's a very good question. It's an excellent question. So the first thing is that if you think that anything and everything you're doing is for the glorification of Krishna, so what is chanting? Chanting is a process of kirtan. It is part of the kirtan process. The word kirtan comes from the word kirtiyate. Kirtiyate iti kirtana. So kirtiyate means to glorify. So the definition of love in Krishna consciousness is to glorify. When you glorify Krishna, that is expression of love. So when we are chanting, we're glorifying Krishna. You see what I'm saying? So if you always glorify Krishna, then your chanting will increase. First in the form of glorification, then in the form of your taste to actually chant. Because see, why we chant more or less is based on how much taste we have for Krishna. You see? So the more taste we have, the more we want to chant. Okay, now, just because I have less taste doesn't mean that I should now take a shoe and beat myself and say, you silly boy, why you have such little taste? What's wrong with you? No, that's not the answer. Krishna does not want, just like the mother doesn't want the baby to take a shoe and bang its head with a shoe, right? It's not what the mother wants. Mother wants to see the baby is happy. So again, going back to that happiness, do things that make you happy and glorify Krishna in that happiness. Glorifying Krishna in that happiness. And then one of the things that Prabhupada says, it's way inside Chaitanya Charitamrita somewhere. Just lucky that I came across it, and somebody else came across it first, actually. They spoke about it. I wrote about it in one of their Vyasa Puja offerings, and I saw that, and then I thought, wow, I didn't know that. And so I read that part of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in that part of Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that one must chant the holy names of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and that one must chant these rounds offenselessly. One should avoid the 10 offenses while chanting these rounds, he says. And then he says something that is a real killer. He says, but because we are so fallen, we can't chant offenselessly. Please chant Gaura Nityananda. Because that chanting is equally powerful to the Mahamantra and can be chanted by a person who is offensive. Because Gaura Nityananda do not see offense. They immediately accept this person is trying to show love here. And Lord Nityananda, he is such an avaduta that he says, if someone says Nitai once, I will become their servant. Now, if you know who Lord Nityananda is, in the Chaitanya Bhagavat and in the Nityananda Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that Krishna is inside the body of Lord Nityananda. This is why when Radharani can't deal with Krishna, she will sometimes talk to Lord Nityananda about it to fix how can he fix the problem, because this Krishna is very naughty boy. He's not listening. He's causing us a lot of problems. So Lord Nityananda knows Krishna so well. And he wants to become our servant. That tells you how great he must be, right? So if you chant Gaura Nityananda, so what I started doing from that point was, I started doing one round of Gaura Nityananda before I started chanting Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, and then I did my rounds, right? And then when I finished my rounds, I would again chant one round of Gaur Nityananda, Gaur Nityananda, Gaur Nityananda, like that on the beats. I suddenly found my chanting became deeper. I started chanting more rounds, and I just became so happy that I was getting more taste to chant rounds, Because that I was also like that. 16 rounds, get it done, you know what I mean? So many things to do in life, right? So many services to do, So 16 rounds takes time, right? And so you got to find the time, and sometimes you're so busy, can't find the time, this, that, and the other. But all of those problems went away because the taste developed. And no matter how busy I get, I make sure my rounds are done before I go to bed. I try to get those rounds done before I start my day, but if I can't, at least I'll get them done by the time I go to bed. But my Gaur Nityananda chanting has made a huge, huge difference. So that is something that I can tell you practically from my own experience, how that worked. But the other part of the answer is also very important. Chanting is glorification of Krishna. It is the cry of the baby for its mother. The baby is unhappy. The baby wants happiness. The baby cries. The mother comes. The mother hugs the baby, kisses the baby, holds the baby, makes the baby happy. That is the chanting process. You see? Now, the more you cry, the more the mother comes. Because sometimes mother is also busy, right? She's cooking, looking after husband, this, that, and the other. Mother's got so many things to do. Baby's crying. Mother lets the baby cry a little. It's good anyway, because if you cry, you'll become a good kirtan leader. You see? The more the baby cries, the better the kirtan leader that baby is going to become. Mark my word. It's actually true. It develops the lung of the baby. And the baby is crying. It increases the capacity of that baby's lung. So there's also good reason for everything happening in this world. But most important, when the baby cries very, very, strongly, right? Then the mother drops everything. Forget the food, forget the husband, forget this, go to the baby. We didn't pick up the baby. What's wrong? What's wrong? What happened? Why are you not happy? Hug the baby. Tell the husband, you hug the baby too. Everybody hug the baby. Everybody stop doing whatever you're doing. The baby is most important. Right? We see that, especially in Indian families, big family discussion going on. Baby comes into the room, all discussion stop. Everybody's mind is on the baby. So that is us with Krishna. That is us with Krishna. We are babies of Krishna. So cry. And the crying can be done in the form of holding the beads and chanting nicely. Crying can also be done like normal crying. Like, how do you normally cry? You cry. Not happy. Something's going wrong in my life. Things are not working out. Start crying. But cry to Krishna. Don't cry to anybody else. Anybody else you cry to, you're wasting your time, because they also need to cry. But if you cry to Krishna, then amazing things will happen. And make sure you shed tears, okay, when you're crying. If you're crying and no tears are coming out, that's not crying. That's not crying. That's drama. You're a drama king or drama queen, that's all. No drama king, drama queen business here. Real crying. So if you real cry, then your rounds will increase. Best to do it with the round. Not cry tears with the round, but just cry, meaning chant very sincerely, hear the sound properly, and understand this is what pleasing Krishna the most. It says that, right? That Nata Uparatarapaya Sarva Vedeshu Dishyate, that this 16-worded mantra destroys all the kalamasha of Kali Yuga. There is no process higher than this. All scriptures declare this boldly. So this is a way to increase. And another last thing that I will say to you, try to associate with devotees who like to chant. Because association also creates desire, If you are amongst thieves, then you'll know how to steal nicely, you know what I mean? And if you're amongst policemen, you'll know how to catch thieves nicely. So in the same way, if you're with nice devotees who like to chant a lot, then it'll rub off on you too. You'll chant nicely too. You'll start chanting nicely. Kirtan is very important. Kirtan is most important. I like it that the young people nowadays have a lot of interest in Kirtan. I sometimes wish they'll have interest in japa as well like that. But anyway, that'll also come. But Kirtan is great. Kirtan is really good. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No, thank you very much for asking such a nice question. So we have iPhone 2020, and then we have Harilila has a hand up. iPhone 2020, what is your name?
Hare Krishna, Hare Bolo Prabhu. My name is Hemu.
Hemu, nice. Hare Krishna.
Danvat Pranam, and thank you for this beautiful lecture. You actually, I was confused about getting mad at Krishna. I used to. Then I heard in some lectures, because he's so much love and he has so much kindness, and then I felt you should not get mad at him.
Yeah, be nice to him.
Yeah, be nice because he's nice. So I got a little confused there. Am I doing the right thing or not the right thing?
Yeah.
So you got a doubt out of me. So I'm back to square one. So I can just see how I am with him and just let him know everything I need him to know.
Yeah. Be everything, right? Because there are times when you're feeling really good. So be very nice to him at that time. Tell him, Krishna, you're the best. You're so nice. You're great. Then things are not going right. You can say, Krishna, why, Krishna? What did I do? Why are you putting me through this situation? You know, right?
Yeah, I mean, I stopped doing all that because I heard in some lectures you should be very nice because he's all good, he's all love, he's all kindness, he has nothing wrong in him, nothing
No.
bad in him.
No.
So that made me think, well, maybe I shouldn't get mad at him.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, the mood is that we are not interested in Krishna looking after us. We are interested in looking after Krishna. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
when I am not happy, then I cannot look after Krishna nicely, right?
Right.
So I get a little angry at him. Please make me in a good position so I can look after you nicely, right?
Mm,
You see what I'm
right.
saying? So that is why I'm getting mad at him, not getting mad at him for me. I'm getting mad at him for me. That person in the lecture was correct. You don't do that. Thank you for bringing this point up, because without this correction, I might have been misunderstood. Why we are getting angry at Krishna is so that we can do more service for him. We can do better service for him. That is why we're getting angry.
Okay. Yeah, I was.
Like when you're doing business and you're not making enough money, you get a little angry, right? Why am I not making enough money? I want to make more money. You see what I'm saying? So you're angry is not for any other reason but to make more money, right?
Right.
So similarly with Krishna, we get angry or sad or happy or whatever else to do more service.
Okay.
For this, there's a very good book to read to learn this. It's called The Nectar of Devotion. In that Nectar of Devotion, there's a place called the Vyabhicharis, the 32 Vyabhicharis. These are the 32 emotions of love. In you see that, you will see anger is one of them. You will see all the emotions. In any of those emotions, pray to Krishna. Now you're using all these emotions in Krishna's service.
Yes.
Krishna loves that. He's the one who created those emotions. And he says the spiritual world is run by those emotions. So we get trained up here, right? This is the drama before the main drama. This is the practice drama before the main drama.
Right.
So practice it. This is why reading is very important. This is why Nectar of Devotion is one of the most important books that Prabhupada left us for reading. Prabhupada said Nectar of Devotion is Radharani in book form.
Right.
That's amazing. That's an amazing statement, because she is our real boss. We are the servants of the servants of the servants of Radharani. Gopir Bhartu Padakamalayur, Das. So because of that, it's very important. For us, Radharani is everyone for us. She's everybody. She's our supreme mother. She's our supreme boss. She's our supreme God. She's our supreme everything. Because she is the one who trains us how to serve Krishna properly through the service that she renders to Krishna. We don't directly render service to Krishna. We render service to Radharani and her servants so that she can render service to Krishna. That service is much better. That's why the best devotees are the Manjaris. Manjaris never directly serve Krishna. They serve servants of Krishna so that Krishna becomes even happier. That's why Krishna says, one who thinks that he is my devotee is not my devotee. But one who thinks that he is the devotee of my devotee is my devotee.
Right.
So these are all nice practical things we learn in this question and answer sessions,
Right.
So
yes, thank you. I was on the wrong track. I was thinking I can get mad because I am mad about something material. So now you corrected my thinking that get mad for Krishna.
Yes.
Not for my material benefit.
Yeah. Whatever that material thing that is going wrong is affecting you, right? It is making you weaker. Is making you less capable of serving Krishna. So get mad about that. Tell him, Krishna, remove that. I don't want that. Why are you creating that problem for me? I want to serve you more. Why are you throwing this impediment on the way? You know what I mean? So that you can get mad about. But you're getting mad because you want the impediment to be removed so you can serve Krishna more. Not the impediment is removed and now you become more materialistic.
Right. Yeah.
That is not done.
You really got me on the right track. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very wonderful session, question and answer, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. And we hope that you will keep coming to Partsarthi to enlighten us in wisdom.
As long as Krishna allows, yes. whatever Krishna willing, I will always serve the Vaishnavas. By serving the Vaishnavas, Krishna gives me the most happiness. It is the best happiness is to serve the Vaishnavas.
Thank you, Aradhana Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Oh, it's 8:40. We're even 10 minutes past our time.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for
Thank
accepting
you.
our invitation. And we look forward to hearing more and more from you and having your association and learning more through the question answer session.
Thank you. Thank you very
This is
much.
definitely more helpful.
Yes.
If we have your permission, can we close the call for today?
Please, please.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anant koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai, His Grace
Ananda Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Nice.
Devotee Gana ki jai. Nice.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
His
Thank
Grace
you.
Nityanand Prabhu ki jai. Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Jai.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very nectarian
Thank you.
session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.